E lei così pretende che sposare il mio signor nipote. Cherubino, or ci sei? Ella mi incanta? Non canta no, ma dice che gli salto stamani in sui caratteri. E lo dice. Sarà, se ho saltato io, si può dare che anch'esso abbia fatto lo stesso. Anch'esso? Perché no? Io non impugno mai quel che non so. Ecco la marcia, andiamo! Ai vostri posti, com'era ai vostri posti! Suonno da mio braccio! Eccolo! Temerari! Son di pianta! Contessa! Ora parliamo! Ecco qui le violazze, riceve di tutto! Ai che si ciarraffa, dove vostra petezza! Sentiamo e dedichiamo vendetta. questa sera è disposto l'apparato nuziale con la più ricca pompa. Io che sia magnifica la festa, e canti, e fuochi, e gran cena, e gran ballo, e ognuno impari com'io tratto color che a me son cari. Avanti, costanti, secati, cantate, lodate, si saggio, Signor, con frigo, celebro, con cacio, celebro, le casse, i livelli, ai nostri amor, le casse, i livelli, ai nostri amor, cantiamo e lodiamo, si saggio, Signor, cantiamo e lodiamo, si saggio, Signor, si saggio, Signor, si saggio, Signor, si saggio, Signor.
And so the plans for the marriage of Figaro and Susanna continue apace, rather lavish plans at that, as the third act of Mozart's opera, The Marriage of Figaro, concludes. This production coming to you live from Lincoln Center from the stage of the New York State Theater, a production of the New York City Opera. And in our cast are Dean Peterson as Figaro, Maureen O'Flynn as Susanna, Joseph McKee, Dr. Bartolo, Suzanne Marcy, Marcellina, Catherine Gambaroni, Cherubino, William Stone, Count Almaviva, Jonathan Green, Don Basilio, Elizabeth Hynes, Countess Almaviva, Don Yule, Antonio, Peter Blanchet, Don Curzio, and Michelle McBride, Barbarina. The conductor is Scott Bergeson, and the harpsichord is played by Stephen Mosteller, who is one of the assistant conductors of the New York City Opera. The production is by John Copley, and the stage director is Christian Smith. Now, once again, backstage to our host, Hugh Downs, with our Countess, Elizabeth Hynes, and our Count, William Stone.
Well, Your Highnesses, it's great to be in your presence. I look forward to talking with you.
Thank you.
We had, Bill, you lost Elizabeth momentarily when she took time out to have a baby.
Oh, yes. Last year we were doing the same performance, and Elizabeth was supposed to have done the Countess, and she's had a baby, Alexandra,
and then
a year ago, and then Madeline Monte stepped in for the Countess.
And then you lost her.
And we heard that about 2 weeks ago she also had a baby, and she had a son, and his name was Alexander. So there must be something in the water here in New York.
You can't keep on losing Countesses like
No.
that. But she's back anyway.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting. I've heard that there are kids and babies that brought to the rehearsals of these things.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Elizabeth's daughter has come several times.
Yes,
Is that right?
Our Marcellina has a young child, and the Barbarina also, and in some of the other operas, there are small children as well. So it's really like a family here. And we all feel like uncles. And
It's difficult to have a 1-year-old at a rehearsal, however.
Yeah, I bet. How old your
My daughter is 1 year.
A year now?
Just 1 year,
I see.
right.
That's right. Well, I imagine there's some appropriateness, considering this opera is it's very human. It's a very flesh and blood drama. And it's probably, stressing human values, it's probably appropriate to have
Possibly a couple going through difficulties after their first baby, whatever.
Or a midlife crisis, or early life crisis. I think that's exactly what's going on.
What does the cast's closeness mean to you two? We've talked about that in other intermissions.
I think this is a wonderful, wonderful cast, and I think it's obvious from what you're seeing on the television tonight. Certainly everyone feels it in the theater. I don't know that I've ever sung in an opera where the cast was so together as we are. We're just all good friends.
And it's wonderful for this opera because these are people who really know each other and have lived with each other so much, and that's how I feel about the rest of the cast members.
I wonder if that stems in part at least from the nature of the characters in the opera. Now, you've got a kind of a nasty role. You're a heavy at the beginning.
Well,
but actually he's lovable.
He's having a bad day.
Yeah, right. He's having a bad day. I've sometimes said that the Count is like a nice version of J.R., but with emphasis on nice.
But you know, the Countess is really just kind of playing around, and he loves his Countess dearly, and he's just having a momentary relapse, and he in the end, when he asks forgiveness and when she forgives him, they both are truly serious, and I think that's the wonder of Mozart.
That really is. If you don't care about the people, drama has no value. You handle something very, very well, and the role of the Countess is particularly in the second act, portrays a woman at a painful point in her life, really.
Yes,
in the midst of a goings-on that's pretty much comedy, really, and you've got to handle that on its own level.
She has those moments of introspection, and then more moments when she just wants to almost pull herself out of that mood, I think. Join in with Susanna.
Yes. John Copley is said to be a singer's director. Do you feel that about him?
Absolutely.
Definitely,
He's wonderful. This piece is mostly John. I mean, he has brought real characters, and we're not playing comic situations, we're playing people, and that's what's wonderful about it, is that they're real people, and the situations are funny. Not the people aren't funny, it's the situations that are funny, because everyone is deadly serious.
Right, and his sense of aristocratic behavior is so wonderful, has been so wonderful in rehearsals.
Great. Bill, you did this role with Georg Schulte in Europe.
Yes, on a European tour. Yes, we with Furlaneto, who was just sang Don Giovanni last night at the Met, and Sophia Funk also was our Cherubino, and at that time she was pregnant as well, about 8 months pregnant. So I have a history of people in
dealing with it. I guess. Let me ask each of you why, if it is to you special, why is this opera so special?
I think for myself, it's one of the first operas that I ever started studying. I first sang Susanna.
Is that right?
Many times. With Bill. With Bill, as a matter of fact.
Together. And Susanna.
And then I progressed, if you could say that, to the Countess. And so I've always had a history with this opera and adored it just for the musical values and the drama that's so real.
From the standpoint of a singing challenge, I'm thinking now range and dynamics and everything. Is it heavy as a challenge, or are there roles that are tougher to sing?
Strenuous. In a strenuous sort of way, there are roles possibly harder to sing, but the control and the clarity of the Countess and her music is very difficult.
Just to start the whole opera with Porgi Amor, we've all been in singing for one act, and she comes out and has to sing this beautiful sustained aria. It's very difficult.
This last act now, I've mentioned this before, but it's hard to imagine anything more complicated than some of the things we've seen going on the stage.
Just wait.
This last act is a monster. And how do you get all that under your belt?
Well, I think just doing the Marriage of Figaro for so many years, because when you first do it, is so complicated that I don't know how the audience can even know what's going on at first, because we've got all these letters and mistaken identities and disguises and innuendos, and it's very difficult to sort it all out. And again, Mozart and Beaumarchais were masters in that. And
one thing that is very helpful, I think, in this production is the subtitles are of great use, I think.
Yes, as you can hear the audience
follow the plot.
Really understanding it.
Very, very true.
I think that's a wonderful thing that we're doing now with opera, to have the surtitles, because it makes anybody able to understand the opera.
Right. Monster things are happening behind us, getting ready for that last act, so I'm going to let you go. And we'll look forward to seeing you in it. And I thank you. It's a great pleasure talking with you, Bill and Elizabeth.
Yes.
Pleasure.
This is live from Lincoln Center, now in the third intermission of this New York City Opera performance of The Marriage of Figaro. We'll return to Hugh Downs backstage for a conversation with New York City Opera General Director Christopher Keane right after this short pause.
Live from Lincoln Center is underwritten by General Motors, and it's Chevrolet, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, Cadillac, GMC Truck Divisions, and GMAC. General Motors, committed to excellence. Live from Lincoln Center is also made possible by grants from the Robert Wood Johnson Jr. Charitable Trust and the National Endowment for